guys, it's Lee with thebeautifullee.com, and today we're going to make this cute little journal. You can include it in a journal, you can make it as thick or as thin as you want. This one's a little bit chunky one, but it has a front pocket as well as a back pocket and all these fun pages inside. Now this one I haven't really decorated yet because this is just a prototype for, oh, that page is upside down. Prototype for doing what we're going to do today, so I thought we'd go from there. This is just a 12 by 12 sheet of scrapbook paper that works really well for these. And what is this, a 6 by 9 envelope? Yes, 6 by 9 envelope. I like the smaller sizes. You can do this on a larger size, but you're going to use more than one page of the 12 by 12, and you're going to use more paper because it's bigger. But I like this handy dandy little size. This becomes 6 by, what is it? If it's 9, then it's 4.5. So it's a great little tuck in your purse kind of journal kind of thing. Okay. So the first thing we do is we start with our 9 by 12 envelope. Yeah, not 9 by 6 envelope, my bad. So what you need to start by doing, or you don't have to do this part, I like to do this part, just because I don't utilize this clasp. So what I do is I just start taking the clasp out. And you can just kind of work your way around and tug on it a little, and it should release. Of course, you know, I'm videotaping, so this one's not going to. There we go. Oops. Can usually, if you work it from both ends, they will usually release. This is why I don't have nails anymore. And just pull that off and chuck it away. This did leave a hole on here. I'm not concerned because we are covering the envelope. Next, I also like to take this little square off. You can keep them if you want. I just chuck them. I just think it makes for a smoother envelope. Okay, so that literally is all the prep that we do. Then I take my 12 by 12 piece of scrapbook paper. This is a mixed media pad that I got. This is the paper, not the cardstock. You can do it with both. What I do like about this mixed media pack is, I don't know if you can see, it has this little bit of extra that makes it bigger than 12 by 12, which works really well for me on these because I can use that as my wraparound on one edge, and it goes really well. So I think I'm going to make this the front, which will make this the back, and what's left here will cover the inside flap. So real easy. I flip it over and I find that little dotted line and I fold along that dotted line. Super easy so far, right? My bone folder has wandered away. You know, that's what happens when you clean, crap moves. So I am going to use a clothespin because it works well in a pinch. Okay, just keep going here. I want a nice crease on this, but I want to be as true to staying on that line as I can be. There we go. Continue creasing. There we go. Now this is very easy. Oops, this line's a little bit off. Let's tuck that down a little bit. There we go. Very, very easy. You put your envelope right in here, align it with the edge of your paper. I like to press it down a couple of times just with the envelope in there. I don't know why. Apologize for the planes. That's just what happens sometimes when you live in a flight path. Okay. So because this is thin paper, I don't like to use my white glue on this. So I'm using my art glitter glue. And I'm gonna just go right along this edge, flip this back down, because I don't want to go any longer than here. And I just want to run a little squiggly right along here. Oops. Sometimes it's good to keep it on what you're gluing. Then take this and fold it down. Any overage that comes out, that's fine because you're not going to use it. I then take my scissors that are not my sewing scissors. Here. I'm going to just nip right here because I'm not going to need that past there. There we go. Make sure that's adhered well. Open this up. Try not to throw everything around while you're working. Back. I'm going to go all the way around here, down here, along this edge, up around here, and just put like a decent amount of glue on here. This thing is wrapped, so it's not really going to move a lot. You just want to kind of like do general all over adherence. And what's great about this, it doesn't even matter if you drive your glue straight or not. And I take this by the edges, trying not to get glue on my fingers, and just lay it down. Press everything down nice and neat. Okay, so now I have this edge, and I have my handy dandy ruler. Let's line this up on this line over here. Go here. You can see that this is more than 12 inches, but that's why I use this paper. If you don't have this little extra selvage edge, you're fine. Just, you know that you're going to have an edge that you're probably going to want to ink. So you can do this without this extra edge. I just like it because I don't have to ink the edges. The envelope does not show through, or maybe get white envelopes and use them to kind of, let's see, that looks straight. Use them to, I'm so sorry, my brain just shorted out. As your base, so you don't have the gold tone if you don't want this manila goldish color. Take my craft knife, just run up here. There we go. Just to keep that edge straight. Then I take my scissors, or you could do this with your craft knife, whatever makes you happier. We're going to cut this piece out, going right along this edge. Just like so. Not a lot to cutting it out. And this is going to cover this envelope so easily. Go. So literally, that's the only cutting you're doing to cover this entire envelope. Well, one more cut, I lied. Maybe two. I'm going to take my art glitter glue again. I want to make sure to get right along this edge because it's important. I go around the circles. I don't want to get the glue through. Match up to this edge. Down here. This edge, and again, decent coverage. You can write words if you want, your name, whatever works for you. You know, you got to have fun with these things because that's what this is all about. Then we take this edge, hold our finger down here, right along, press it down. With this, I like to roll the glue towards me. You can see some of it came out. That's fine. This edge right here doesn't bother me much at all because odds are nobody's going to see it. And make sure it's nicely down. I do my fold here for right now. Make sure this looks nice. Do my little crease there. So I have a nice crease on my envelope, or my flap. Then, as you can see, there's this little piece here. We're just going to trim that away. Like so. Then, we take this piece that we had left over, and we are going to put this in. Now, what you want to do is make sure that this will fit in. So take this edge right here, and I just do it manually because honestly it's not like horrible if it's a little crooked because you're going to cut some of it off. Cut straight up. Still need to take another little nip off. And I do this in very thin strips. Slide this in. I like to go all the way down with this so that I'm having minimal trimming. Even it up with the edge. Fold this back. Take your pin out. It's hard to glue with a pin in. I go really close to this edge because it's important that this edge stays, you know, covered. Here, kind of like take my nozzle and put it under. Cover over here. Press this down. When you go under, that's putting glue to hold this down. And this is only something that you're really gonna be pushing down against. So it's not gonna matter that it's not glued all the way inside the pocket, but I think it's a nice look when you look in that there's covering in the pocket. Over here, there's a couple ways to handle this little bitty thing here. I just nip them off. You know, there we go. Turn this over. Two ways to do this too. You can take your crafts knife or you can cut it. What is nice is that with a crafts knife, you do have a little bit of an edge to lean against. And if it's drier, it cuts a little bit nicer, but c'est la vie. So all in all, I think maybe 3 cuts to cover this entire envelope. 4 cuts. 2, 3, 4. 4 cuts. And then you're gonna go down to this end. You can leave it sealed. If with this paper I was using white, it would look fine. You can ink this to hide it. But what I like to do is just line it up. Actually, I'm going to use my cutter for this. I love this guillotine. Just line this up. I love that you can lift this. This is a great feature on this guillotine. Line it up where I literally just eyeball it and will feel that I have just that teeny tiny little overhang, because all I really want to do is just open the seam up. And then I cut through. Again, I took very little off, but my envelope is open. And here where I didn't quite get it, just take your craft knife and split it open. There we go. Okay. So one of the things that I love about this is that this envelope saves me a lot of paper. So I recently started doing tea dyeing. Some of you know, some of you don't. Tea dyeing is fun, but a massive undertaking. Hello, Mildred. The cat's here to say hello. I want to reinforce this this crease here for my envelope. Normally I would use my bone folder. I have a popsicle stick handy. It works just the same. Over here I do see a little bit of an edge that I do want to trim. Now you can go over this and ink it, which I think I am probably going to do because I think it's only going to enhance the look of this paper. But I take this. This is 9 inches, so at 4.5 we want to fold. So I like to have an idea. I'll use it that way. But if you look, I really focus on just matching my edges up and trying to keep it straight. But it gives me an idea of where to, you know, start with my fold. I usually start in the middle and I work my way out. This is getting a little thick because by now it's 4 pieces of paper that you're folding at once. So take your time, adjust where necessary. There we go. And there's your booklet. Now you can have the flap in the back or the flap in the front. I tend to like the flap in the front, but that's just me. I don't know why. That's just me. I feel like it's a more finished edge up front, which I do kind of like on my journals. This we're gonna just roll through here and fix this the way that we want it to fold. We don't want that bubble in there. You can go through and cut stuff, but I mean, this is 6 by 9. How hard is it? Right there, it's fixed, you know? So now I have all this done. Let me get my ink. And this, because it has the black in it, I think that the black soot distressed oxide would be a great look on this one. So I have my grungy one, which I kind of like to use actually, just because it has like its own flavor to it. So we'll just ink this up. You know, it's like with this, it's picking up the black, but it's also got the brown tones in it. Actually looks really nice on this, I think. Let's weather our corners a little bit. Go. Yeah, I'm really liking this. Here. I thought about doing this in blue because it's got the blue in it, but I was like, I think this will work really well. And I really do like this combination on here where the black and the brown both show through, because it's got the blacks and the browns in the cover. So to me, that just looks really, really nice. Where I got here, I'll just kind of smudge it around. And then let's define the spine. Just a little bit here. And the same on the back. And when you do this, you have to sing. Makes me think of that song, Chorus Line. What I couldn't do was sing. I know nobody knows Broadway anymore, but hey. So now that's all inked. And if you look at it, it gives it a nice kind of rustic feel. I think this paper looks 100% better with this on it because it kind of grunges it up, for lack of a better term. And I'm just lightly going over and adding just a little bit of the blend color. So I went ahead. Oh, and we still have this piece left from our 12 by 12 paper, so that's a great scrap. I went through and just grabbed some papers, which this is going to be more than plenty for a very full journal. I got one of these sandwich bags. I like to use these. You do have to do a little bit of manipulating for this size. I usually cut this edge off just because I like a flat edge on it. Creasing it. I like the wax paper in there for some reason. I think it gives it an interesting little tactile, excuse me. It gives it an interesting tactile feel. This is digital that I was printing in color, but my printer for some reason didn't know that I was. This is some hair dye colored paper. Yes, you can use hair dye. I do the demi colors, so paper bag, which is always nice to include. I think though that this one, yes, you have to trim this bag. There's a couple of ways to do this. You can trim it this way. And don't look at my nails, they look horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. I cut them all off because I was just tired of them. And with all the tea dyeing, they were stained, and now I'm growing them back out. Okay, so you can do it this way. You are gonna, like I said, have to trim off some excess, which will give you this little tuck here that's built in, which is kind of fun. Or you can cut off right about here, actually this much, so just above that little fold, and that will give you a double-ended craft pocket. I think on this one I would like to do that design, and I'm thinking what I want to do is cover this with this spare piece of paper that we have, trim this excess off because we are going to have to trim the bag, and seal it back up. Maybe not seal it back up. Maybe do a double pocket. We're going to have to seal here because of the fold. So if I do this, where's my guillotine? Let's just start hacking. Okay, first things first, let's glue this piece on because I'm going to have to trim. Because I've got this little edge here that, you know, I'm not going to like. I know I'm not going to like. So we'll just dribble on some glue. Okay, this is as bad as threading a needle. There we go. I'm going to use the uncut edge to go right here. And I do sometimes like to pull a little bit of the cover in or what have you. Put my uncut edge down, press it down. This is going to show me where I need to cut here, which is fine. Lift this little edge up, tuck everybody under. Actually, you know what I want to do? Because this is going to hang off, let's flip it over to this side, just hack this piece off. Still a good scrap to keep. Maybe not. You never know. Can't make up my mind. So I want to go right over the edge where I had trimmed that bag and it got a little ragged. So like right about there. Take a nice even cut. There we go. This piece can go. This can make another little tuck in my book. This is going to be this long. Let's see how long this is. 6, 2.5. I can't do it there. This is actually right a little bit of 1/4 of an inch, so we're going to get rid of this edge that has a little punch in it, and we should be perfect for this book. There we go. And then I don't like how this is right here, so I'm going to even that back up. We have the opportunity to make this a tuck in here with a flap here, which I think will look nice. So what we're going to do is open the bag up. This I am going to use the white glue because it's hidden. Just do the edge. Seal this page up. There we go. Gonna do the same here. Just real narrow on this edge. And let's do this edge at the same time because they both need to be glued up. There we go. Let's do this edge too. Same thing. We're just going to go down the edge, down here, and around the corner. There we go. Okay. Squish that all down. Now, the only thing you'll need to do now is make a decision on the insides as to which side you want these little flaps to glue to. They can glue to the front or the back. You can do 1 to 1. I don't really recommend that because it kind of limits your pocket. So let's just take these and glue these down to the bottom of the bag, just with this being the top. So I'm just going to reach in and run a bead of glue and go across the edge, press it down, do the same thing on this side. And what that does is it kind of takes that extra little fold and just reinforces the edges of the pockets. So we're going to do the same thing over here. This one, however, seems to not have cut through all the way. So my bag seems to want to keep this, so I'm just going to use that to my advantage. Go in and glue this down real well here. Glue this little corner down here. And then we're going to glue this front flap all the way down, because that's not going to affect our pocket, because our pocket's going to be on the inside, which is here. All right, so now we've made a double pocket with a tuck that matches the outside. And I just wipe away the extra glue, and we've got to cut this little piece off. And we're going to just set this over to the side to do its thing. Cure. Dry. Whatever. Do its thing. So this is one of our pieces, so we'll put that there. I've got this additional little pocket I can use. And then, with all these papers, we need to cut them in half. And then we can start folding, because all the sheets that we have, we're going to use as half sheets. This is from the Dollar Tree. I got these years ago when I was a district manager to leave notes on people's doors when they were no-shows. And you can just take this, line this up in your guillotine, whack it off, and then just round this extra edge. And I usually just do it with my scissors, like so. Actually, just take this other one and it'll show you exactly what to cut. There we go. So you've got this little like insert. I use them in the center of the books sometimes. Oh, my scissors are falling. Whew. And then you've got this, which you can use as a scrap somewhere. This we don't need to cut. We can just fold this in half. Just a guest check to go inside. These are just some invoices to go inside. Fold those. This is liner paper, which I believe is longer than what we need. No, this is 11, 8.5 by 11, so half. The thing with this, you're going to have the stripes running this way on your page. I don't have a problem with it. Some people do. So if we look at this and we look at half, we're going to be fine. So we're going to just throw this in here. Here's our 8.5 actually, or our half mark for our regular pages. So let's just go with this. Take that, line this up, just to make it symmetrical. You know, every once in a while it's good to do things like this. And and you can use this for belly bands or whatever. Okay, I've got a magazine page that we just want to cut in half. And these work nicely because they end up being like this in the book. I have some little receipt papers. Those don't need to be cut. I have some tea and turmeric dyed paper. This is the problem when you work with loose tea. You get loose tea all over it. But I like the paper and I don't mind brushing it off before I use it. I guess I could have done it all when I took it out, but I was like, nah. I want to just get it done. Open this all the way, line these up. This is some pseudo tea dyed, or actually turmeric dyed notebook paper. That with notebook paper it is shorter than your 8.5 by 11. So just kind of fold it in half and crease it so you know where to cut. Unless you want to measure it. I'm not big into measuring. I mean, I have books to make, not measures to do. So it is about, it looks like a 1/4 inch difference. So line it up, and there you go. Here's some more of that coffee tea dyed stuff, paper. These are all baked, so they have that nice crinkle to them. I really love that crinkle. Pam at the Paper Outpost was talking about, oh, I love the crinkle, and I'm like, crinkle, crinkle, strminkle. And then I tried it, and I was like, oh my god, I love the crinkle. Gotta have the crinkle. So, yeah. Go. I love to put sheet music in my books, always do. I think this might be a little bit, nope, that's the right size. It's nice, you have a couple of staffs on one side and a couple of staffs on the other. For those of you who don't know music, this is a staff. This is all in treble clef. For these two staves, these three at the bottom have treble and bass. There we go. And you know, you can see whichever side you want. A couple of book pages. Luckily, book pages do not need to be trimmed. Well, not luckily. These are both from different books. I thought I'd throw a couple of those in. Trim that up because it was pulled out funny. I like putting vellum in my books. I think it just adds like a nice little texture page. I'm very tactile with my books. That's part of the reason why I like journaling or creating journals, is I like the tactile effect of it. So I like the vellum in there, so a couple of pieces of that. This is drawing paper, and you get a ton of this from Amazon. Problem is it's 9 by 12, so what we've got to do is actually go in and cut it down. So we're going to just fold it here, straight as possible. Go. And I'm gonna do it. No, that's not right. 9 by 12 is 8.5 by 11. So I've got to cut a 1/2 inch off of here. Okay, how am I gonna figure this? I know. Gonna fold it in quarters because one fold is going to be in the book anyway, so that doesn't matter. There is my 1/2 inch. 9 by 12 is going to be a 1/2 inch that we need to cut off, so we want it at 8 1/4 right there. You can use these as scraps or chuck them. Again, this is a paper I love the feel of. I love writing on this paper. It's great. So then here is this edge. Will it fit in? Yes, it will. Take this, line that right up at the edge of my guillotine. There we go. I knew I'd figure it out. This is untreated notebook paper. I thought, what the heck? You know, I never use plain paper anymore, so let's throw some plain paper in. This is nice. It lines up on this line. Does it line up on a line in here? No. So let's go with the side that it lines up on. Let's make my life a little easier. Where's my fold? On this line there, on that line there. Make sure you're up. Again, it is a little bit shorter. That's fine. It's not going to matter. Gives your book character. I have a gazillion sheets of this. I don't know where I got it from. Probably from when we cleaned out the warehouse at Office Depot. I worked in the creative side, and our warehouse got full of stuff we had taken pictures of, and we had to do something with it. So a lot of it came home with me, but it was okay because I was told I could. Then we've got the hair dyed paper. I should do a video on how to do that. It's really just the products you use. Any demi color is going to work great. It's not going to have ammonia. It's not going to have peroxide. It's just depositing color, and that's all it does on this paper. Throw that there. And then on this page, I do want to trim my edges, so I want to make sure that I am folded as perfectly as possible, which sometimes means that you make those little tiny adjustments. There we go. I like to cut with my fold at the top. I don't know why. It just seems like it's easier. Let's line this up on the edge. Trim that white edge off. And you're really just trimming, I don't know, and sewing it's selvage. I say that like I sew. But sewing, it's the selvage edge of the fabric. This is, I don't know what you call it in paper, but we're going to call it the selvage. I do have a sewing machine though, because you know, you need it for journal making. Okay. Over here, this didn't seem to line up right. So we might as well just trim this off. One page is a little thinner, it is not going to matter. It really is not. What I like to do on these pages that the printer decided that it wasn't going to print in color for me, I'll take colored inks and just kind of like smudge some color on them sometimes. Sometimes I won't. And we've got this little bag. Now this bag, hang on, I'll show you on my mat here. Pardon my giblets. This bag is 6 inches wide, which is the exact width of your envelope. So there's a couple of things you can do with this. You can trim it. Everything else is going to be 5.5. So you can trim like a 1/4 inch off at each side, and then you just seal up your bag. That works really well. You're going to seal your sides anyway, so it's really like a no-brainer to do it that way. I think that's what we'll do on this. I want to start though, I want a clean edge. I don't like this little rough edge, so I'm going to line it right up at the edge here. Down there. Then my bag will fit nice and neat in here. And we want to go to 5 3/4. Make sure it's straight on the lines. That's what I love about this. It's a great guillotine. Cut that edge off. Flip it around. Now you want to go to 5.5, because a 1/4 is just going to leave it at the same size it was. Now you have a 5.5 inch bag, right? You can take these off very easily. Fold your bag open. It even rolls a little bit down. Might as well just tuck them under. Use your guillotine, because then there's no muss, no fuss. Line it right up on the edge. There we go. All gone. You can use these for belly bands. Now, y'all are saying, wait, you've got wax paper that you've just, you know, destroyed, and you're going to make a pocket out of that. Yep. One of the reasons I like to do it this way, too, is you can fold it up here. We're going to cut this edge off anyway, but I like the little the fold up on the inside, not on the outside. So I don't cut my bag until I've got the sides glued down, because if you do, then you're just working with this loose bag and it's hard. This is going to hold it. You can do something like take one of the clips or whatever, give it a little bit of substance to hold it so it surely is not moving. On this, I do use my Art Glitter Glue or my Bearly Arts glue, and I take a lot of time, let me move this over, to be real careful to run this right along the edge. Now you are going to have to double glue here because your bag splits that way, but that's the only place. This glue does dry clear, so don't worry about it. Go very slowly and carefully along the edge. If you want, you can reinforce this with washi tape, which is a nice little way to add some color into the bag. It should stick. There we go. And you can see it does like smudge around, but this glue, I've used it many times and it does adhere to the wax paper. So here again, cover right along this edge, do this edge, press that down. I don't mind if I get like glue squirting out, because I mean, what's it really matter? I'm gonna wipe it away and wash my mats. A lot of people are really anal about that. I'm not. I figure if I see it moving, then I know that it's squished and it's working. And I know that I've made contact. Okay. So what I like to do is just move my clips to the other end, because we're going to trim this end. Like so. Bring back the guillotine. God, that sounds like a form of capital punishment we're bringing back. Bring back the guillotine. Must have death by decapitation. There we go. Line this up. You don't want to lose a lot of your bag. I mean, you can change it to lose more or less. It's whatever works with you. Trim that little edge off. And you now have a double-ended pocket in wax paper. And a nice craft wax paper. I'm really bad at this. Make sure you close your guillotine, because this thing is sharp. So you really could hurt yourself. Just a little friendly FYI. Okay, so under here, oops, we have that piece of paper that I just threw on the ground. Bear with me. Under here we have, not our book. This is our book. Yay. Okay. So we've got all this paper, and this is a fairly thick chunk of paper now. Do you have to use all of it? No. It's whatever, you know, floats your boat at this point. I'm going to refold my bag with everything now that I've trimmed everything. Again, my popsicle is handy. My bone folder is not. Popsicle works. Okay. Let's see. We've got the most of this color. So what I usually will do is just start with anything I have duplicates of, which is pretty much everything. This is not a duplicate, but it's a similar thought. So you can see I'm kind of flip-flopping where my edges go, so each side gets a darker edge. We've got some of these to put in. this cut right? Yes. And I just start building my pages, like skipping a couple, putting one in, skipping a couple, putting one in. Again, you know, it's just rotating different types of paper throughout all the papers. And it makes it fun and different, and you know, gives you all those different textures to work with, which I really love. I'll put this one in here. This one. Put it here. Maybe throw some blue in with that one. Maybe the blue goes here. Throw a cream in there. Throw a cream in here. There we go. Whoops. That there. Separate those two. And on some of these that are one-sided, like this mouse, and this actually needs to come back more this way. Actually, this is double-sided, so I'll put my piece of vellum there. And then I'll put my vellum here. Throw some sheet music in here. Here. Book page there. This one looks like it might be a little bit high. It is. So we need to trim the book page down if we use 2, because this is getting kind of thick. And I do want to use my magazine page. Maybe I'll just do this one as a center. Now we've got these 2 pockets that we've got to put in, and as you can see, this is almost all dry now. This side's completely dry. This just has a little bit to do, so I don't feel bad just sticking it in the book. I've got this cute little magazine page, or not magazine page, but pocket. Let's put this pocket, no, let's put it there. Okay, so didn't use these. I think little things like this is just fun to have in a book. And then the rest of this we'll save for another book. Because this one is rather chunky. Usually with something like this, I might put it in the middle. But I don't think I'm even going to use it in this book. Okay, so this bag feels a little bit long, so let's figure this out. It is a little bit long. So we've got to take a good 1/2 inch or so off of this, which means we're going to refold it. Shrinking! I think it was sticking out about that much. Looks about right. And I fold as I go sometimes. I don't fold as I go sometimes. All just really depends. Like none of these have been folded. I'm just kind of like looking at my layout right now. This is going to be this thick of a book. It's pretty chunky. All right, so I know how we're doing it. So now let's start just folding our pages in half. This, is there anything on here? We can cover it up anyway. It's just a, right now it's a page to just have a page in there. Turn this way. I don't worry about if my lines go the right way or not. It doesn't really matter. You can write across it. Maybe you want to do a page where you write sideways. So now we've got our little book. And we just kind of like shift it around until it lines up. There we go. Make sure all my little V's line up nicely. Now, you are going to, because of the thickness of this book, have uneven pages. If that bothers you, all you have to do is trim it. I don't know if it's going to bother me. I haven't decided. I always wait until I punch the book to put the binding together and bind it, because that makes a difference. Now, what I like about this, it's fairly easy to bind. If you do not have these big clips, oh my God, you definitely need them. There's a reason everybody uses them. They are phenomenal. They make all this so much easier. They have a great like reach, whereas I used to use these, and yeah, they were great unless I had like a half page, you know, or something little in the middle. They didn't hold those well. These hold everything. And I'm gonna take this, line it up where I want in my book. I hold the pages together first, like so, and then I hold my book together, and I do one like so. Then I take this one off, flip my book around, make any little adjustments, like I'd like to make this a little bit higher here. Go. Looks to be about even on both sides. Very good. It's on the top. Here's my other side. This ain't going nowhere. Except for it's folding crooked at the moment, which means something's amiss. Let's take this off. Check our fold. Make sure your book is nice and happy. Now, this is going to stick out this much. That is not going to bother me. Norman? No, Millie, he's not bothering you. Millie and Norman don't like each other. Norman is kind of mean to her. Norman? Come on, move. Let's go. Come on, move. Leave Millie alone. Good boy. Okay, so now we need to get our Memory Keepers. What is this? The Crop-A-Dile 2. Pam at Paper Outpost recommended this. This thing has changed my life. I did put these little marks on with just a white mark or a white ink pen or paint pen. I should probably do this side too. In this instance, because I'm not really lining anything up to go with a mark, I'm just kind of freehanding it. It doesn't really matter. You want to be on 1/8, which is the smaller hole. And you're just gonna find where you want to go. And you like pick center first if you want. Just kind of line it up right on the crease. Press down. I do usually have to lay on this. Hang on. Sometimes you have to pull it out and push back in. There we go. There's one. I like to do 5 holes. Some people do 3. I like 5 now. I saw it done. I was like, I really like that. That way, if there's any little pages, like the guest check that we have, they all get caught. And it's not going to flip around or spin around. There we go. So I am just moving my Crop-A-Dile along the edge of my book. Just guesstimating where it is. You can see I've got my lines going right down the spine. Do the same thing here. Let's go right there. And that one was a little crooked, but it'll be fine. A little crooked we can deal with. There we go. And you get all these lovely giblets out, and you can see how hard it punches because it got all those papers all combined into one little peg. I think that's so cool. But I love this thing. I definitely cannot say enough about it. Highly recommend it. It's definitely a game changer when you are binding your books. So let's reach up here and grab my book binding box. Oh, all right, well, whatever. It figures. On this, because this has more white on it, I don't want to use the beige that I usually do. I think I'm going to use the black, actually. So I'm going to take my trusty fat-eyed needle. This one has become my favorite. It came in my AJ kit from Scrapbooking with Me. I love the AJ kits. I subscribed. You get really great stuff. Like really inexpensive overall, and it's for a great cause. So on this, you still want to do 1, 2, 3 times the length of your book. I always add a little bit more. I always end up with long tails, but I always add a little bit more. This over to the side. For those of you who don't know how to bind, just kind of pull your thread through. You're going to go in the center, or as close to whatever hole you have is the center. The one between the most, yeah. Go in the center. I'm going to come out with the 5 holes. I come out this hole next to it. I go in the hole next to that. Then I come back in through the second hole that I was just in. Right here. I skip the middle. I go and repeat the same steps on the opposite side. And you do want to have a tail. Come in here, but see how easy it is to go through these? Oh my goodness. Like I said, this was a total game changer for me when I saw this. Let's see, pull that way. And then when you come back in the center hole at the end, you want to be on the other side of the string in the middle. So you've got one on one side and one on the other. You can pull to adjust so you even out the length of your strings, like so. And then, like I said, make sure you, before you trim pages, they're still not even, mine are never even. It's fine. Make sure that you have it bound. I pull snug, not tight, because I don't want to rip my holes. But what I've found also is that when you make these clean cuts with the Crop-A-Dile, it's not like those torn edges with the awl. So that makes it nice. And you go right over left, pull it taut, left over right, pull it taut. And then you can either tie a bow or just let them hang or trim them or whatever floats your boat. I typically will tie a bow. And because I don't want this video to be too long, we are going to end it because I do something to my books after I get them bound before I make any decisions. And as you can see, it's really not that uneven here. So that's a nice thing. What I do with my books, and I let them sit overnight. So that's why this is a great time to end this video. I put clamps on them. And this just helps train the paper to do what I want it to do. So I'll use the big ones, I'll use the little ones. It's going to make your book lay nicer. It's going to make your edge, especially when you do one of these little ones really kind of thick, you want to do your best to make the book lay as nicely as possible. And so it's at this point that I kind of manipulate everything so it lines up the way I want it, because it's my world at this point. Sometimes you just readjust, put this down, and by leaving this overnight, what happens is your pages give in to the way they're being held, and it makes your book lay flatter and nicer. Also, y'all will notice I don't have a clip on this one yet. I didn't have one on my prototype. What I have been doing and what I really like is I use a wax seal, and I put some twine or some ribbon, and on this I have some black, real thin, that 1/4 inch black ribbon that I think I'm going to use. And just make my little clip there. I'll put like a binder clip on the front and just use that as my thing. And as you can see, or as my closure, my book is now starting to lay much flatter already. You may want to add some extras. There's never too many clips. It's, I don't know, I watch Nick Zametti wood turning because I think he's really hot, and I really do. And so Nick, if you're watching, I know you're married, but yeah, you got a fan. There's never too many clamps. So truly there really isn't, because this is going to control my book to be the way I want it to. This is super solid right now. My binding was a little bit off, but it's going to work out fine. I kind of like it like this too, because it kind of gives it like, you know, a different look. A little more stylized. We'll come back, we'll do some decorating on here, we'll put our clasp on, and then we'll start building out the inside, because we haven't really, other than that one flip, build out our inside and done any decorating or anything in there. So here's where we're going to end it. Overnight it sits, makes it nice and flat and firm, and, you know, nice looking book. So guys, again, it's Lee with thebeautifullee.com. We're being beautifully scrappy right now, and make sure you like, follow, comment, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff, because, you know, it really helps. I do love doing these videos, and I'd say, oh, I'm building a channel. I'm really not doing this for a living. I'm doing this because I enjoy doing it, and, you know, it just makes me feel good when I see people who are like, oh, I saw your video. You know, it's just like a nice, happy feel. So I'm going to end this here. Thank you all so much for joining me. Hope to see you all on the flip side, and we'll talk at you soon. Bye, guys.